allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Little people. It's very important that we say the pledge because they don't even say the pledge in school no more. So the fact that we have to get that back going because they don't like the under God part, it's like if you don't like our pledge, go home. Go home. The door swings both ways. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so our first person that we are going to have is a gentleman named Afro Elite. I came across this gentleman on Twitter. He is a conservative influencer on Twitter and on YouTube. His page is Afro Elite, and he speaks about the conditions of black people in the city of Chicago. This brother is from out south, so west side and south side are definitely represented today, and we are going to, before I let him speak, the purpose again of us being here is Agenda 47. So every speaker who comes on this mic is going to discuss a portion of Agenda 47 so that we can get the information and push it on to other people and quiet the Project 2025 chatter so that we can do what we need to do the first week of November. Clap it up for Afro Elite.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening. I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'm going to be brief. We got a lot to clear up, so I'm going to be concise with everything I'm about to say. I was saying since July that Project 2025 is a hoax. Project 2025 is not really Donald Trump's plan. Donald Trump has never claimed Project 2025. Project 2025 is what they call a boogeyman strategy, and this is something that the Democratic Party does because they want to scare people into thinking that World War III is going to happen. They want to scare people into thinking that the sky is going to fall. They want to scare people into thinking that if Donald Trump gets in office, then there's going to be some natural disaster. He's distanced himself on multiple occasions from that. Now, I'm going to be talking on the third part, which is going to be the inflation going on in America. A lot of people are saying that the inflation going on in America, that's just a recovery phase because of the fact that we had to deal with COVID. The inflation going on is because of the fact that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris signed the American Recovery Act. And this was supposed to be an act that was supposed to give subsidies to the American nation over $1 billion, $100 billion, $130 billion from the time they signed it to the end of 2024 to subsidize the economy because of the COVID pandemic. Now, we understand that the COVID pandemic is not any one particular person's fault. They like to blame it on one person's fault. They like to say Trump mishandled it, this person mishandled it, this person mishandled it. If we're going to be very honest, the pandemic was a not natural, let's be honest, but the pandemic was a disaster that no one individual can be blamed for. The pandemic, a lot of people, Democrat, Republican, a lot of people did not know. They were unprepared, and it was mishandled. Now, I will say, if you want to talk about the disaster recovery, we're also going to have to talk about the fact that under the instruction of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they're the ones who completely froze the economy. When the American citizens wanted to get back to work, they were the ones putting the 6 feet laws and everybody got to wear a mask. They're the ones who mandated the vaccine. They're the ones who made it to where you cannot work, you cannot go to school, you cannot travel, you cannot do this with your business, and there would be fees and all of these things for the vaccine that a lot of people, American people, were not comfortable with at the time. They said, when Joe Biden debated Donald Trump, you can go look this up, when he debated, he said, we're years from a vaccine. And then he allegedly becomes the president and says, here's a vaccine. What we did know was that a lot of people didn't want to take the vaccine, and a lot of people wanted to go to work, and a lot of people wanted to go to school, and a lot of people wanted to live their life the way they were living it before, and Biden and Kamala stopped that. And this is why we have this disaster. We're recovering from the disaster, not of the pandemic, we're recovering from the disaster of the vaccine. This is the reason why we're like this today. And now we have 20-year-olds dying from heart attacks all of a sudden, and nobody wants to say any side effects happen with the vaccine, and we seeing that this has happened. They set it up so you couldn't sue Johnson & Johnson or all of these pharmaceutical companies for any side effects that happen to that. So if we're going to talk about the disaster of the pandemic, we also have to follow up by talking about the disaster of the vaccine. And this is why we're in this situation today. This is the main reason. So when we talk about inflation, let's talk about who was in charge of the main reason why we're in this inflation. Now, of course, there was going to be a hard time coming back from the COVID. It was going to be a hard time, but they took a hard time and they blew it up times 1,000. And now we still have people who are still facing side effects, who are still lost their life, who are still lost their job, could not recover because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Fauci, who may or may not go to jail soon. Let's be honest, because he's on in court confessing to everything now. He's saying he lied about everything about the vaccine. So if we're going to do this, let's talk about this in context. As far as the inflation, they don't know how to handle it. They don't. Kamala Harris is talking about she understands that gas is too high, food is too high, all of this stuff is too high now. A few months ago, she was just saying that Bidenomics was working. She was just saying that the economy was good. A few months ago, when Biden was at the top of the ticket, she said that everything was good. And that when we complained about food, gas, rent, bills, all of that stuff, that we were just lying and it was misinformation. And now that she's running, she's saying it's not misinformation, but it's not her fault. It's Trump's fault. From over 4 years ago, it's Trump's fault. So we're not stupid. We were not born yesterday. All of us have the ability to read. All of us have the ability to comprehend. All of us remember what we've been through the last 4 years. All of us remember what happened in 2020 and 2021. We all know it. And we all know whose fault this is. We are not going to sit here and allow the Democratic Party to lie about the sins, about the criminal behavior that they've done when it comes to the pandemic, how they handled that. We're not going to allow them to lie about that. We're not going to allow them to take the situation out of context. We're not going to allow that to happen. And this November, we're going to show them that we remember it was their fault, and we are going to punish them by not allowing them back in this White House. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I want to thank you for inviting me, and as well I want to thank you for being here. When you are here, that means I want to tell you that you are thinking logically, and I want to say thank you for taking a moment for yourself, because what I want to discuss is the charter school. Previous speaker did mention about everything about the past, but what I want to talk is about the future. I want to talk about the hope. I want to talk about the belief, and I want to talk that what can we do to make tomorrow better. Okay, because you see that the charter, I want to promote the charter school. Not that I'm a teacher or anything, but I am the Indian girl who came to study America when I was in early adulthood, and I ended up getting a 5 college degree, MD, engineering, MBA, and so on, list goes on. So this country gave me an opportunity to become something because I landed on a good educational institution. And if you are living in a certain zip code, if your parents' paycheck is a certain number, and you end up where they tell you to do or tell you to go, where there is not many opportunity, you remain in that zip code. So this is a jail of a zip code. You want to come out? Every community has a smart people, regardless of what is your income, what is your color, what is your zip code, what place you live. There is no what. There is only one answer, that every community has a genius people. Not only genius, every community has the people who can think. Everybody has a mind. And this is the one we can get to that if we have an opportunity to think for ourselves. When people tell you what to do, that is their idea you are adopting. You are not talking for yourself. In order for you to think and decide, you need to have a knowledge. There is a no scary or a powerful man than man with the knowledge. There is no man who is helpless without the knowledge. And that is the tool they are taking from your children. I see the little children over here. They might be better children than the right next door preschool at the Harvard where the millionaire kids go. Okay? You don't need money to develop your head. You need a head to develop your head. And for that, let those children go on a school to the merit. If this little girl has the capacity to compete, smartest kid in the world, let her compete. Who are you to tell no? Her zip code is not her jail code. Okay, do not give a tattoo of a zip code. Let her go and get what she wants. Let's compare in Illinois, okay? So the Illinois best charter school is also in a top 10 in a United States, in a Kane County. Okay, this school has a 16 more days. It's a Cambridge Lake school in a Kane County. So it has a 16 more STEM days than any other children in a South Side is getting. This 16 more days, they have an opportunity to become an engineer. The guy who was going to become a technician, now he's gonna be an engineer. Okay? Tomorrow's CNA, this 16 days could push her to become an RN. This 16 days can give any technician to become any boss. This 16 days can give them a degree to be a #1 category. They don't have to be somebody's assistant because of their jail in a zip code. So let them be. Let them have a capacity knowledge that God has given to them. They don't have to be poor. Bill Gates says that we can born poor, but we don't have to die poor. Now we have a certain politician who wants to tell us that we gotta die poor. Okay, now that is not true. So I'm telling you, for all other things went, but if you want any child, any teenager, any grandkid of yours, any child of yours, any neighbor of yours to have a future, give them a freedom. All you need to do is give them a freedom. And which president is doing? Only one question. It's not a Kamala auntie. In India, we call anybody older than us and our mother's age auntie. And Kamala auntie is not giving this opportunity, which her mother had it. If her mother was not given an opportunity to land in a Stanford, Kamala auntie would not be running a presidency. But she doesn't want you to have it. You know why? Because she can be a top-ranked person to tell you what to do. Now, you want that opportunity? Go and pick the president. We're going to give that opportunity to your child and pick where there is the opportunity. That's what I want to say. Ladies and gentlemen, you think for yourself.
Clap it up for Miss Hatal again from Chicago's Indian community. Now, if she says she don't want Kamala, black women, don't let them push her on us. Okay? Okay? If they're not pushing them on the Indians, do not let them push her on black America. We said no, no, no. We do not want you, Kamala. Kamala Harris Imhoff. Jackson is not on social media, so she is not aware of how she has taken America and the entire planet by storm. This woman, whenever you say you from Chicago, the first question they ask is, do you know Jessica Jackson? Do you talk to Jessica Jackson? Have you seen her in person? Have you seen her videos? She is amazing. One man reached out to me and said, I started the Jessica Jackson for Mayor campaign. Tell her I got an email address, I got a Twitter account, we gonna get her some money. That is the type of leadership that America deserves. And for me, this is just my lady. This is my lady, y'all. She is a vibe of all vibes. I just love her. I love her, and so does America. I give you Miss Jessica Jackson to give us her perspective on Agenda 47.
You crazy. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody that's coming out in support of us doing better as a country, us doing better as a nation. First and foremost, all glory goes to God. That's first and foremost. And then on top of that, I don't want to set the stage at all that anything that I have been doing in City Hall is me by myself. It's quite a few of us that are always down there. Zoe Lee is always down there. Michael Young Bay is always down there. Of course, we know George Blakemore, Nicole, Michael Young Bays. We've all been working very hard to get us to where the city is listening to what we're saying, and praise God, it has taken toll across the country. And I want Chicago to know that I'm so proud of Chicago. We're doing a major work here. And the reason why I say that, real briefly before I get to the topic that you want me to be on for the 47. I lived in California. I was born and raised in Chicago. And after college, I went to California. And I lived in California for 35 years. I came back to Chicago because of what you hear me talk about, the problems with my mother's estate, how Cook County and the city of Chicago straight up are stealing black people's property. I want you all to get that through your head, through your psyche, what they're doing to our property. And that's what brought me back here. But in California, immigration started back there years ago in the 90s. And it came with such a force that it took over California. And there was no pushback from Californians, none. They were saying, well, you know, Mexico did used to belong to the Mexicans. California did used to belong to the Mexicans, and there was absolutely no pushback. Just like you saw when immigration was coming into New York, there was no pushback, because New York has always had a heavy African immigration population there. So it was no pushback. But when they brought that nonsense to Chicago, come on, when they brought that nonsense to Chicago, and when they brought it to the South Side, they came over to Jeanette Taylor's ward first, and those people warned Lori Lightfoot at that point that if she allowed those immigrants to come into that Wentworth school, that she was not going to get back in office. And we saw the people in that community hold true to that, and she didn't get back in office. Then they came to South Shore with South Shore High School. And that's when you saw that South Shore group, Natasha Dunn, and that group started fighting back. And then it took a wider range. When I started coming because of my property, Zoe Lee started coming because of her mother's property, and the result is what you see today. Chicago, we setting it off. We set it off. We set it off. We let America know how we going to be treated. We stopped them in their tracks. We let the Democratic Party understand that their time was up with the nonsense. We let the Democratic Party understand that we tired of the empty lots. We tired of the abandoned buildings. We are tired of the underserved schools. We tired of our kids not having what they should have. And I understand the issue with choice schools. I get it, but I also know this. Our children deserve to have good education in their communities. They shouldn't have to go across town to get no decent education. If they would keep all this low-income housing out of our communities and let us own property in peace. The property taxes is what channels the resources for a local school. If we have more property ownership in our communities, then we will have more resources in our schools. But the trick that the Democratic Party is doing, pushing this poverty down our throats about low-income housing, subsidized housing, affordable housing, all these things are intended to keep us poor. And in keeping us poor, it keeps our schools undeserved. And when we have our schools undeserved, next thing you know, we're generating another generation of ignorance. We know better, and we need to do better. So I just want to thank Chicago for being Chicago. It's not me. You all made the ground very fertile before I even got here with the work that was being put in from this city, from the people in this town. So I came into fertile soil. So I want to thank you all for that. Now, as it pertains to the agenda portion that I'm supposed to be talking on, where I think it's number 14, where we're talking about Social Security and Medicare. The Democrats are trying to make us believe that it's the Trump administration that wants to cut Social Security and Medicare. That's not true. In fact, his agenda is saying that there should be no taxes on Social Security. There should be no taxes on senior citizens' monies that they get every month. Now, the reason why they're able to spend that and to scare people with that is because typically Social Security is for people that are senior citizens. And we all know that black people, the age of 60 and older, have always been dedicated to the Democratic Party, and rightfully so for that period of time. For that period of time. But now it's not like that. And so if they can sell that narrative to the older generation that he's going to mess with your Social Security, he's going to mess with your Medicare, it'll have you off and running to that poll. When the reality is, no, he's not. And we have to be very careful with that because our children are working. And on their paychecks, it still has the deduction for FICA, F-I-C-A, which is your Social Security. So they're steadily taking money out of our checks for Social Security and Medicare. But yet they want to tell us that it won't be any money for Social Security when our kids are able to get it. Right now, vote them out of office. Right now, vote them out of office. They're going to say that they don't have money to give us Social Security after we paid into it, like they didn't have money from FEMA to give to the people down south who had that tornado and that hurricane. They don't have money for those people after those people have paid into taxes for years because clearly they're Americans. And FEMA doesn't have money for them, and now they want to spend that with Social Security. It's not no money for Social Security after we paid into this for all these years. Don't believe the hype. Get them out of office. Turn Chicago red. Turn the United States red. We don't have to deal with this. We got more than one political party. We don't have to deal with this. Send Kamala Harris back to wherever she is. You just heard that Indian lady say that they don't want her in her community. Well, you don't get to put your rejects over here in ours. Send her back to wherever she came from. Let her rule wherever she at. But she don't get to come over here as a pseudo-black woman and run for office, because the only reason why they did that is because they knew that on her own, as an Indian woman candidate, she would have been just like she was in the primary. Didn't get not one vote. She would have did just like what they needed to do, to cheat her, to get her to be a nomination. Because on her own, she couldn't do it. So they threw the black card on her. Knowing that black people, and particularly black women, will go running after that pipe dream. We know better than that. We know black when we see it, and we don't care who try to say that she is, because she's not. And the only reason why they gave it to us, because they're protecting Gavin Newsom's career and J.B. Pritzker's career. Because those were the Democrats that could have had a chance, but Trump would have stumped them out too. So they put them to the side and threw Kamala Harris out front, put a fake black tag on her so that she could get some votes. But it's not going to work, and it's not good enough. We want Trump in the White House. We want a real president. We want the people's president. We want somebody that's going to make a change. We want somebody who's going to put America first. He's putting America first. This is our country. This is our country. This is our country. It doesn't belong to anybody else. People put work in to make this. White people did what they did to get this. No offense, but it's true. Black people survived how we had to survive to stay here. This is our country, and it's a beautiful thing. Just like you seeing the South Side and the West Side come together for the first time in history. It's the first time in history that you seeing black and white come together like this, because it's about America, and we understand that. So God bless y'all. God bless America. God bless Chicago, and we getting ready to go do our part.
Hello, Chicago. Hello, West Side and Garfield Park. How we doing today? I'm so happy and grateful for y'all to come out here and spend a little time with us Trump supporters. We're not as scary as the media try to paint us out to be. I became a Trump supporter over a year ago when they tried to turn my school, they did turn a school in my area, in the Woodlawn community, into a migrant shelter. So they had all these buses and stuff coming. I'm like, oh, no. No, I don't have a problem with immigrants, but this is a problem. I'm like, the power of Christ compels you. Get these buses back. Get them out of my community, because black people is already suffering. And they had these meetings with the community leaders, chief of police, pro-immigrant groups, the aldermen, all of these people coming to the south side of Chicago to lecture black people about what we gotta accept. And I remember being a Biden supporter back then, and I went up to the microphone, and I'm talking about the problems in my community like these people don't care. They did not care. In fact, when I got to 1 minute of speaking about a girl who was killed in my area, they said, "Your time is expired, sir. Excuse me. Next person, next person." And they cut me off. But today, as I stand before you, they ain't cutting me off no more. As I'm wearing this red Trump MAGA hat, they ain't about to cut me off, because they push people away. So when Democrats lose this election this November, when Kamala Harris loses, when Trump is reelected, they can understand that they are the reason why people like me moved to the right. So with that being said, let me talk about why I really want to talk to you guys about, and that is black people, black men in particular, being lectured to like we're stupid. So with the migrant situation, they lecture us. Now you have people like Magic Johnson at a Kamala rally in Pennsylvania, and y'all, I'm gonna be nice, but Magic Johnson is the last person who should be lecturing black men about what they need to do, because I'm just saying, I think you sprinkle some magic or some pixie dust in your vicinity, so you the last person black men want to hear from. But like I said, I'm going to be nice. You have people like Michael Steele from MSNBC saying, "It upsets me when I see a black man supporting Trump." You have a YouTube channel, the Defiant Lawyers Network, video after video. Black men are misinformed. They don't know what they're talking about. They're crazy, and I see someone knows who I'm talking about. Every video this man gets before us, and oh my gosh, racism, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And of course, Barack Obama, the cherry on the cake. All of these people come around every 4 years, but we've been here the entire time. Where y'all been at? Now y'all got something to say. Now y'all angry. Now y'all want to say, oh, back in 1950, Trump pinched your grandma on the arm and he gonna take away this and he gonna take away. Where have y'all been at? So that's the thing that really irritates me. And all of these people, they don't live in poverty. The people I just mentioned, Obama, Michael Steele, Magic Johnson, they don't live on the south or west side of Chicago. They don't live how we gotta live, next to a migrant shelter in a crime-filled community. So to those people who want to look all crazy and mean mug and say something silly about black men supporting Trump, to you I say this. I didn't go to a fancy Ivy League university. I don't live in a safe, gated community. I don't have a maid, a butler, or a chauffeur. When I go to work every day, I don't go in a nice, fancy, air-conditioned news studio that overlooks the skyline of New York City. So why should I take political advice from someone or anyone who has any of those things? That don't make any sense. If you don't live in poverty, if you don't live how a lot of black people live in Chicago, I don't care what you have to say. Not at all. And that's something, an attitude I wish more black people, especially the ones on the Democrat side, would adopt. With that being said, let's get into the real reasons why black men don't support Kamala Harris. It's because she threw us in jail for smoking marijuana, then gonna laugh and giggle about it like it's funny when someone asks her about smoking marijuana. It's about in 2015 when they came to her and said, should police officers wear body cam footage? She was against it. Then she flip-flopped and changed her tune when Black Lives Matter became more relevant. It's because she is fake and she's phony, and as you heard today, people don't even see her as black. She talks about collard greens in the bathtub, and you gotta put on a black accent and pretend to be something that you're not. Come on now. We know a phony when we see one. Those are the real reasons why black people support Donald Trump. And notice, if they talked about the real reasons why black people support Trump, they would have to look in the mirror. They would have to look in the mirror and say, they have not done enough for the black community. So instead of taking accountability, because as my mama told me and your mama probably told you, when you blame black men and you point the finger at everybody else, at the end of the day, you got 3 more fingers pointing back at you, and those 3 fingers point back to the Democrat Party. They have no one to blame but themselves for losing this election. People, please do not forget that at all. So Democrats, we're not falling for the okie doke. We're not about to get got. We're not about to get scammed. Black people, we always up one on somebody else in a good way, and we are not going to let them scam and fool us this election. They call her Kamala, I call her Scambala, because she's faker than a $20 bill. Go sit in the corner and play with the crayon book, Kamala. Ain't nobody buying your nonsense. So I'll end it out with this. Bob the Builder said, Bob the Builder, can we fix it? I say, Bob the Builder, yes we can when we build this wall when Donald Trump is back in office this November. Yes, we gon' fix it. Yes, we can, and we don't care about the people who got something to say, people who are gonna look at us crazy and do whatever they gotta do. They can call me whatever they want to call me. The one thing they can't call me is a Democrat. They can say, you not invited to the cookout no more. I'm going to say, I don't want to go to your cookout because your chicken ain't no good. Go sit in the corner. I ain't thinking about you. We are not thinking about the people who hate. We are thinking about the people who empower us to be great every single day. So I'll end it off by saying, we're going to stump for Trump in Chicago. My friends are going to stump for Trump in Detroit, in St. Louis, in New York City, in Atlanta, Georgia, where black people are living in inner cities. We will stump for Donald J. Trump this November and get Kamala and Biden up out of that White House because they don't deserve a darn thing. Thank you guys so much and enjoy the rest of the speeches we have today. Thank you.
A quick commercial break. I want to give a shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Mark Carter in the back barbecuing food. Mark is another very hyper prominent voice in this Black MAGA movement, in the MAGA movement. He is a major influencer here in the city of Chicago. We have free food back here. We got Jim's Burgers. If you eat Chicago burgers, you know those are the best. We got Jim's Burgers, beef hot dogs, and tacos, pops, waters, Rice Krispie treats. Help yourself eat as we have a MAGA good time. Next, we will have our Vice President, Mr. Bashan Tunkel. Bashan also found out about us through social media, and he came to the meeting. He's been with us 10 toes down from the beginning. He is a husband. He is a father. He is a worker. He is a YouTuber. He is the Chicago conservative. So check out the videos. We do a lot of content there as our organization. And today he is going to talk to us about number 9 of Agenda 47, and this is ending the weaponization of the government against the American people. Clap it up for Mr. Bashan Tunkel, our Vice President.
Hello, Chicago. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Thank you guys for having me today. It's a pleasure being here with you guys. Go Red! Go Red! I want to start off this speech by saying I'm a young American man born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. I've seen a lot in this city. I've seen what this city used to be. Excuse me. They got me. Okay. But due to the leadership of the Democratic Party, it has only gotten worse and worse and worse, especially in the black community, my community. Violence has gotten deadlier in Chicago, Illinois over the past 13 years. The Democrats that lead this city knows this, yet they decide to sit back and do absolutely nothing, while simultaneously ask for your tax dollars and vote. We suffer from gun violence in our communities, drugs in our communities, crime, but worst of all, the lack of love and unity in God in our communities. Now they're openly weaponizing the system against tax-paying citizens and patriots of America. Which brings me to number 9. Take Kamala Harris, for example. Falsely accusing a black man of murder by the name of Jamal Truelove, like my executive director mentioned, sentencing him up to 50 years in prison. Not only that, but when he was found guilty, she actually laughed at him. Yet she claims that she loves black people? Now she claims the border is a crisis when she is the current border czar right now. And she has been the border czar for 3.5 years. So if this is a problem for America, why haven't you fixed this 3.5 years ago? Her lack of action has allowed over 21 million illegals to enter the United States of America. 21 million. Over 750 of those illegal immigrants have convictions of rape and murder and pending cases. And when people like Donald Trump call her out on this and Joe Biden's poor leadership, the weaponization of the government is used against him. Donald Trump will end the weaponization of government against the American people, saving the victims of the poor system, like the innocent black men and women Kamala Harris falsely imprisoned. Donald Trump will act on the promises he made, like the First Step Act, which released black men and women from prison from petty crimes. Donald Trump was never a problem to the American people before he ran for president. Am I right? And when he was president, inflation was down, crime was down, and our border was more secure than ever before. He is America first. And if you are America first, there is no question who you should be voting for this year. The time of corruption is over. The time of putting the American people last is over. As the Vice President of Chicago read, and as an American citizen, I am voting for Donald J. Trump. It is time for a change in Chicago, and it is time to make our city great again. It is time to make our country great again. And I'm asking you guys humbly to go out in November and vote for Donald J. Trump. Thank you guys.
Clap it up again for our Vice President. We also have books back here in this box. This box of books was given to us by Numbers USA, and it breaks down how immigration hurts the American workers. So please grab it. It's very data. It's an easy read with lots of data, and the good people at Numbers USA sent it to us to share with you. I'm kind of short, so I gotta stand up tall. Let's go to our next speaker, and our next speaker is Miss K. Jones. Miss Carnitha Jones. She is a resident of the Austin community. She is also a former special ed teacher for the Chicago Public Schools, and she is going to talk to us too about her opinion of Agenda 47, but in the context of the Comprehensive Sex Act and what they are doing to our children, because we will not allow these people to pervert our babies. Clap it up for Miss Jones.
As a teacher, could not give a child an aspirin in school, but they can give our children now without the parents' permission. Hormone drugs, chemical castration drugs, they can cut off without the parents' permission the children's breast, penis, vagina, without the parents' permission. They can abort your grandchildren or children, your grandchildren from age 17 and under, the children, the students can get abortions without the parents' permission. They are grooming the children. When they come to school, they have stripped your parental rights. I have paperwork in my car to show you. I cannot believe this. I couldn't give a kid an aspirin, but you can go and give them a whole comprehensive sex act curriculum that's grooming our children on how to have anal sex, all kinds of sex, how to use kink toys. I didn't know what that was until I Google kink toys. You're going to see whips and harnesses and chains come up. So I'm telling you all right now, I've been talking to people out here, just here today. She said, oh, you mean you want to be a surgeon like your dad? The baby said, no, I want surgery. I want to be a girl. My teacher told me I can be whatever I want to be. So I'm telling you all right now, they are transing our children, they're grooming our children, they're mutilating our children, they're transgendering our children, they're brainwashing our children, they're indoctrinating our children. The same thing Hitler did, but a billion times worse. They're using our children for their one world agenda. And I'm telling them right now, I'm running for the school board. I'm running right now, District 5. I'm take hold. Yeah, a couple of tongues coming out right now because I'm a minister. I'm here to say we're going to take the school system red for the blood of Jesus Christ. We're going to take our babies back from the one world order, the pedophiles. They're preparing our children for them. Listen to me. I've been in the streets, walking down these here streets because I live right down there. As I'm walking down here getting 2,300 signatures because I'm running for the board, me, a grandma, everybody out here, 99.9 to 100%, even the homosexual population, say hell to the no. We are not for them transing the kids, cutting out their vaginas, cutting out their penis, plucking out their breasts, giving them drugs that's causing them to have osteoporosis. Right now, the highest degree, the highest level of suicide, 45% are those babies who've been trans when they were in 3rd grade, 4th grade, 6th grade, and they're in high school now committing suicide because they said, why did you all let them do this to me? Now listen, if the government can take your children from you, if they can strip your rights from you, you next. Do you understand me? Anytime they can take a baby that we pushed out and say, we own your children. I just spoke to another lady up here. She said, a young girl, she said, my mama is in California. She told them, don't trans my 12-year-old sister or whatever relative. When the mama started fighting them, the mama in jail. They put the child in a center. Listen to me. This is you. They coming after all of us. This is global right now. This is the what Hitler. Hitler used the children for his one world agenda. It was called Hitler Youth. So he trained them. Guess who voted for Hitler? Guess who voted for Hitler? The children he groomed. Guess who he enlisted in the army to do all that savage murder? The children he groomed. Guess who the one world order? I'm saying it, I'm a minister. Guess who the Antichrist
up for that? What did they say? Send them back. Send them back. Send them back. We're sending them back. We're sending them back. So let me start off by saying this. On day one, which was January 20th, 2021, the Biden-Harris administration rescinded not 1, not 2, not 10, not 50, but 93 executive orders from the Trump administration. How does that sound? Horrible. Horrible. Not good at all. All of these executive orders are related to our borders. And we are definitely going to vote for Trump. Now the devil is in the house, but Jesus Christ is still Lord of this operation right here. And Donald Trump is still going to be president in the name of Jesus. Oh, the devil stirred up when I got the mic. Oh my gosh. They completely unsecured the border, leaving America and its citizens unprotected. They left the border fence on the ground to rust and decay, y'all. is horrible. What type of administration treats its citizens like that? One that doesn't care about their country. They literally ordered American transportation companies to transport these illegals to America via bus, and they flew them in. Wonder where they got the money from? Us. Statistics show that at least 11 million illegal aliens, and we know it's more than that, but that's what they want to tell us now. And we're still counting. They have entered into America since January 2021. Approximately 500,000 illegals are here in Illinois alone. And Mayor Brandon Johnson says we can take more. Do you think we have room enough for more illegal? Shout it out again, clap it up for Gino.
Woo! Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gino Young, and I ran for Congress in Illinois' 1st Congressional District a couple of years back. I was the youngest federal candidate, and I received 20% of the vote in an almost 30-way race. I'm at 25, so I was just blessed to do that, and I'm so happy to be here this afternoon. I'll be speaking on Agenda 47, Edict Number 18, entitled Deport Pro-Hamas Radicals and Make Our College Campuses Safe and Patriotic Again. On October 7, 2023, Hamas levied the most heinous, cowardly, inhuman, and unprovoked attack on Israel in the country's history. Within hours, 1,200 men, women, and children, including 46 Americans and citizens of more than 30 countries, were slaughtered as they attended a music festival or as they simply went by their daily lives. Hundreds of others were kidnapped. Men, women, and children were brutally raped and butchered in front of their loved ones. Many were burned alive, and yes, that includes infants. I personally was able to save some of the horrific images before they were completely wiped off of the internet. And we have to remember that that happened, regardless of what anyone wants to say or any of the propaganda. Hundreds of others, or should I say, on that day alone, not counting the year-long fallout, but on that single day, based on population size, the number of people who perished would be equivalent to killing nearly 40,000 American citizens in a single day. That one attack was 13 times more than the number of people who perished when Al-Qaeda attacked the Twin Towers on 9/11. Just imagine that. Given the sheer brutality of the attack, Israel, under the leadership of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, has responded accordingly and pledged to leave no stone unturned in wiping the threat of Hamas from the face of the earth. But unfortunately, the inept and feckless Biden-Harris, or as I say, Harris-Biden, administration has criticized, admonished, and completely abandoned our greatest ally and the only parliamentary democracy in the Middle East during its greatest hour of crisis. In fact, this past summer, Kamala Harris snubbed the Israeli Prime Minister as he gave a historic address to a joint session of Congress. Adding this to the fact that Kamala is on record denying the existence of radical Islamic terrorism and her administration's repeated statements about Israel's duty to reach a ceasefire with a nation that wants to wipe them off of the face of the earth. And you'll clearly see that all the points point to a simple fact. Kamala Harris is not leadership material. The ineptitude and utter stupidity of Obama and the Harris-Biden administration's appeasement policies led to an emboldened Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terrorism worldwide. In fact, a month before Hamas's cowardly attack, the Harris-Biden administration inked a foolish hostage deal with Iran, giving them $6 billion, which they in turn used to fund Hamas, who attacked Israel a month later, as well as other terror groups who surround Israel and frequently join in on the attacks. By decimating our energy independence in their first days, Biden and Harris enriched Iran, making the United States dependent upon them and other hostile regimes for our oil and gas. At one point, we were paying over $1 billion a day to OPEC nations, who hate our guts, by the way, who are in bed with Iran, which gave the Iranian mullahs the funding they needed to fund terror globally. A nuclear Iran changes the landscape of foreign policy as we know it. And now experts say that Iran is enriching uranium like never before and is mere weeks away from developing their first nuclear weapon. This must never happen. And the only thing that can prevent and will prevent nuclear Iran is the election of President Donald J. Trump.
That's right.
During his tenure, President Trump imposed stiff tariffs on Iran, which starved out their economy and foiled any plans of terror that they may have had. Those tariffs were foolishly removed
by the Harris-Biden administration in a feeble attempt at failed Obama-style appeasement of terrorists, murderers, and rapists. There's an old saying that a fish rots from the head down. This feckless leadership and inflammatory rhetoric against Israel for decades, most of all during this ordeal, festered and spread to our college campuses like never before, which were already inundated with anti-American sentiments passed down through indoctrination of far-left 60s radicals who now hold tenured positions on our campuses. This pot of festering bile boiled over in the winter and summer as tens of thousands of young, impressionable, ignorant, and frankly stupid young students took to the streets and social media shrouded in the garbs of terrorists and spewing anti-Semitic bile, holding signs and hurling rallying cries by Palestinian terrorists proclaiming from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, a phrase that directly calls for the annihilation of the state of Israel. And as if that wasn't bad enough, it didn't stop there. In Dearborn, Michigan, a hop, skip, and a jump from where we are right now, pro-Hamas terror sympathizers yelled, "Death to America," and at a pro-Palestine Hamas event right here in the city this summer, a radical activist trained a room of people how to exclaim, "Death to America" in Arabic. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the enemy within. This is the product of a globalist ideology and decades of leaders who have put America last. All but one, almost all but one, we'll give Reagan his credit. President Donald J. Trump. President Trump has pledged to deport these budding terrorists from our land and revoke student visas to anyone who has engaged in this disgusting behavior. While on the other hand, Kamala Harris's administration has toyed with the idea, now get this, they toyed with the idea of allowing thousands of more, on top of the ones we already have, thousands of more refugees directly from Gaza into the United States. Now what do you think is going to happen with that? This must never happen. Iran calls Israel the small devil and America the big devil. Palestinians from Gaza widely share these sentiments. If you haven't noticed by now, there's a common thread throughout this afternoon with Agenda 47, protection of our republic. Immigration alone isn't the issue, it's immigration without assimilation. Foreign nationals are being flooded into our country in record numbers, and they're bringing with them their third world values and barbaric ideologies. A country cannot survive with a smorgasbord of different cultures all competing at once. This is a purposeful dilution of American culture, which Kamala, Obama, and their ilk have long resented. By importing new citizens and cultures, these elites hope to fundamentally and permanently change the fabric of America's identity. Yes, America is going through an identity crisis. In a country that doesn't know what will make America safe again. God bless you all and God bless America. Thank you so much.